All right, guys, I'm going to do our math so you can watch me do it. I'm going to do the even problems for you guys, and then you can do the odd problems and send them to me. All right, so I'm doing the similar thing here. I'm going to add these numbers. I'm looking for an estimate, so I'm rounding, and I'm going to show how I estimated. So right here I have 17 and 1/4. 1/4 is a unit fraction. It's very small. So I'm going to turn my 17 into a 17. I'll just write it right here. Oh, yeah. And then I'm going to subtract 3 and 7/8. I'm going to round this to 4 because 7/8 is almost 8/8. And 8/8 would be 1 whole, right? So this would be almost 4. It's almost 4, so I'm going to round it to 4. So I'm going to take 17, take away 4. Right, I showed how I estimated. I'm showing what I'm estimating, and now I will write my answer. So 17 take away 4 is 13. So you guys get to do that one all by yourself. I'll read this for you though. Tyra filled the 2 water coolers shown with flavored sports drink. About how many gallons of sports drink did she have all together? Right, so all together means we're going to, and don't forget it says, all right, I'm going to do even problems, right? So I'm going to estimate here, use rounding or compatible numbers. Show how you estimated, right? I want to estimate using easier numbers than they're giving me here, right? So I'm going to say 196. I'm going to round this up to, right? The number after 9 is right? I'm going to zero it. I'm going to turn this into 200 because this is a 6, right? If it's 5 or up, I'm going to round up. So if I round up, this number is going to go up, right? So then this number goes up because there's no number above 9, right? I'm going to round to my next group. So I'm going to say I'll do it right here, is about, right? This is about approximately 200 times, can we turn this into a 10, right? Because this is a 2, so I'm going to round times 10. So this equals, this is about this, but this equals 200 times 10, right? I'll take my 1 times my 200, so I'll have 200 plus I'm going to add another 0. When I multiply by tens, I can just add, I have 1, 2, 3 zeros, so in my answer I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 zeros in my product. I'll put a comma right there. All right, so same thing here, you guys round. What would I round this to? What am I going to round this to? All right, here's my next one. 304 divided by 6. I'm going to round 304. I'm going to round this to 300. And dividing it by 6, all right, I'm going to round that to 10 because it's above 5. So, right, I'm going to round, it's either going to be 0 or 6. So, 300 divided by 10. Right, there's different ways that I could look at this to do it. I'm going to get rid of a 0 here and get rid of a 0 here. So I'm going to say 30 divided by 1. Right, anything divided by 1 is itself. So 304 divided by 6 is about 30. All right, here's 558. So round this number. What can you round it to? Right, there's different options. You could round it to different things. And I'm going to divide it by 8. Try to do an easy one for you. All right, now I'm going to add or subtract, right, whatever it tells me to do in the problem. And I'm going to write in simplest form. So don't forget that part. We have to make it in simplest form. I'm going to do even problems, right? 1/6 plus 1/6. So when I add fractions, my denominator is going to be 6, 6, 6. I only add the numerator. 1 plus 1 is 2. All right, now I can reduce this, right? I can see this can be divided by 2 and this can be divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. I have a unit fraction of 1/3. Right, whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. If I divide the top by 2, I have to divide the bottom by 2. All right, so just my fraction, because this is like a whole number altogether. All right, 8/9 take away 5/9. So now I'm subtracting. I got 9, 9, 9. 8 take away 5 is 3. And hopefully you can see, right, 3 can go into both of these numbers. They have a common factor, so I'm going to divide by 3. divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Isn't that interesting? Both have the same answer. All right. Next on the back. All right, so I am looking at my math words here. I have to see, are they fractions, decimals, right? Fractions and decimals, I can use fractions to make decimals, or my decimals I can, right? They're kind of interrelated. They're just a way of looking at pieces of a number. So if I have a piece of something, I measure it, I use a fraction to describe it, or I use a decimal to describe it. All right, so my decimal point. Where do I use decimal points? Do I use them in fractions, decimals, or both? All right, decimal points I only use when I'm doing decimals. I'll try to do this neater than I normally do. All right, my next one, divide, right? I'm going to say divide. I was going to say in the middle. It's going to be fractions and decimals. When I'm dividing, right, it's a part of something when I divide. So I'm going to put my divide in the middle. I use it for both, for fractions and for decimals. More for fractions, I would think, but I would have, if I had to decide, I would have put it here or in the middle. I wasn't sure. So my next my next word I'm using up here is least common multiple, and so we'll just write the abbreviation, right? I use my least common multiple when I'm looking at fractions. When I want to add them and combine them and group them together, I look for my least common multiple. So I'm just going to write the acronym for it. When I put letters to stand for words, I call it an acronym. So my number line, right, I can put fractions on a number line and I can put decimals on a number line. So I'm going to put it in the middle here. My number line goes for both. Sorry, I should have explained that, but sometimes I forget. Like, I'm like, oh, they know this already. But right, see my circles here? I have two circles. One says fractions above it. The other circle says oval. It's not a circle, it's an oval. It says decimals above it. And so these two circles can overcross in this middle place. So I'm picking these words and I'm going to put them either here under fractions, here under decimals, or here in the middle if my word can go with both of them. So number line really has a space in between the two words. Somehow I wrote them too close together. All right, so my next one is denominator, right? I only have a denominator when I'm looking at fractions. And my next word is equivalent. So equivalent are when two things are equal. I could have decimals equivalent to things. So if two things are equal, they are equivalent. And my next word is mixed numbers. So I get my mixed numbers when I look at fractions. Right? If I have a mixed number, I'll do an example of a mixed number. I don't want to write it in the joint circle. So I'll do an example of a mixed number right here, right? Remember, it's like 3 1/3. All right, our next word is digit. So, right, a digit is just a number. I had to pause. So, a digit, right here we have 10 digits. They are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I use them in decimal places and in fractions. I use my digits. So I'm going to put it right here. My next one is greatest common factor, right? My greatest common factor I use when I'm dealing with fractions. My next one is multiply. So when I multiply, I do multiply both. For fractions and decimals, I can multiply both of them. So I will write that one right here. Okay, how is adding and subtracting fractions similar to adding and subtracting whole numbers? So I'm going to do adding and subtracting. Sorry, I was going to write in cursive and then I switch over and do both. Adding and subtracting are similar in fractions and whole numbers comma, but in fractions you need to find an equivalent. That's why I didn't write in cursive, because I know it's so long and you'd be like, what? You need to find an equivalent fraction and only add the numerator. Whoops. Only add or subtract. Alright, so there you go. I didn't ask you guys to do the back of the page. I just asked you to do the front. So keep doing the front and we'll check your answers and see how you do later. See you tomorrow.